Globally, the need for more energy is increasing. Energy use will continue to increase, some estimate by a factor of 3. It might be more. This is because the demand for energy across the world is constantly rising. This increased demand is caused by the increase in population and by economic activities. Today, energy is the dominant contributor to climate change, accounting for around 60% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. New ways of producing energy are growing rapidly, like wind power and solar power. However, the switch from a system dependent on fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas to new ecologically friendly energy sources is producing much conflict in the world. In 2017, fossil fuels, that is oil, natural gas, coal, accounted for 85% of the world's energy consumption. Global demand for fossil fuels is predicted to peak in 2023. At the same time, new renewable energy forms, such as solar power, are becoming increasingly important. Sustainable energy sources are expected to generate more energy than all other forms of energy by 2040, with the exception of natural gas. Today, while energy consumption is still accelerating, we are approaching the limits of exploitable fossil fuels. At the same time, the release of greenhouse gases linked to fossil fuel use is triggering climate change, imposing massive cost on the economy and putting millions of vulnerable people at risk. The wealthy fraction of the world's population has been and is benefiting most from access to this cheap energy source, while the poor are most vulnerable to the consequences of both climate change and the growing instabilities of an economy and society under stress. As we reach both planetary and energy limits, the risk of major disruptions to societies increases. The transition to renewable energy is disruptive. It threatens fundamental national interest, political and economic structures, agriculture and industrial systems, and the infrastructure reflected in our present use of space and resources. With so many powerful and vested interests involved, the potential for conflict is considerable. The only solution is to unite in the search for just and equitable solutions to the energy challenge, ensuring that the cost and benefits are fairly distributed at the planetary level and across all segments of the world population, with special attention to the most vulnerable. Not only energy requirements are growing, growth that has taken place since 1950 is called by some the Great Acceleration. Not only do we see change happening, but the speed of change has increased. Ray Kurzweil wrote in 1971, "The Law of Accelerating Returns." This analysis of the history of technology shows that technological change is exponential. We hear in the news that, within a few decades, machine intelligence will surpass human intelligence. Technological change is so rapid and profound, it represents a rupture in the fabric of human history. The last 65 years have, without doubt, been seen as the most profound transformation of the human relationship with the natural world in the history of mankind. All socioeconomic trends are accelerating. All Earth system trends are accelerating. We might say that we have entered a time of peak everything. It might also be called a human tsunami. We see an exploding population of things. 120,000 malls in North America alone, 25 billion livestock, 1.7 billion buildings, an erosion of agricultural resources. In the relatively empty world of the 19th century, the capital from natural resources was much larger than man-made capital, i.e. the economy. A key factor in identifying the needs of our age is understanding the transition from an empty to a full world. In our full world, the economy is now using more resources than the ecosystem can support. But the institutions and economic system that have driven this great acceleration continue to dominate human affairs. The inescapable failure of a society built upon growth and its destruction of the Earth's living systems are the overwhelming facts of our contemporary existence. Strangely, as a result, they are mentioned almost nowhere in today's news. We live as if trapped inside a news story, a story obsessed with fame, fashion, and the three dreary staples of middle-class conversation: recipes, renovations, and resorts. We talk about anything but the topic that demands our attention. Statements of the bleeding obvious, the outcomes of basic arithmetic, are treated as exotic and unpardonable distractions, while the impossible proposition by which we live is regarded as so sane and normal and unremarkable that it isn't worthy of mention. That's how you measure the depth of the problem in our current society, by our inability even to discuss it. It appears that we prefer a reassuring lie to an inconvenient truth. Bahá'í communities around the world are engaging in meaningful and distinctive conversations about the issues of the 21st century. It is not an overwhelming concern of the Baha'is whether or not a person wishes to enroll in the Bahá'í community or to participate in its activities. More important from a Bahá'í perspective is that every soul contributes to the betterment of society, a path of service to the future of humanity. Meaningful conversation about a whole range of socially important issues is necessary. F. Capra said, "Concern with the environment will no longer be one of many single issues. In this century, it will move to the center of the stage. It will become the context of our lives, our businesses, our politics."